Thank you so much. I know last Friday was a long day for you. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you all being here today for this case. And I'm going to apologize because over the next week or two, you're going to see and you're going to hear a lot of stuff that you're not going to like. This is probably going to be a hard case for you to hear evidence on. Because this case is about this man, Daniel Garcia, intentionally and knowingly inflicting serious bodily injury on a little boy, a 5-year-old little boy named Dominic Aguilar. You're also going to hear about another case, a case against a woman named Nicole Aguilar. Nicole Aguilar is Dominic's mother, and she was charged. You heard just now, we read 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph was about Daniel Garcia through an act causing serious bodily injury to Dominic. And the second paragraph was Daniel Garcia through an omission causing serious bodily injury to Dominic. Well, Nicole was charged with just the latter. She was charged with omitting her duties as Dominic's mother, and as a result, while she stood by while this man beat her son, she didn't call the police, she didn't call for medical assistance, she didn't take the child to the hospital. And in lieu of that, she has agreed to plead guilty to that charge, and she has agreed to take up to a 15-year sentence in prison for her role in the abuse that had happened to little Dominic. And you're going to hear from her probably today, and you're going to hear that she initially did not come forth and she was not straightforward with police when they investigated this. And you'll probably hear that her story has changed some. And then you're going to hear what she takes an oath and what she swears to you today. And it'll be up to you to decide what the truth is. You're going to find out that Nicole met Daniel in Florida in late 2020. That they started seeing each other and they sort of, they moved in at some point. You're going to hear that Nicole has 2 kids, Dominic and a younger child named Ivani. You're going to hear Daniel has 2 kids too. A little girl named Daniela, who is a year younger than Dominic, and a young son named Alexander, who's about the same age as Ivani. And you're going to hear about how Daniel shares custody with his 2 kids with a woman in San Antonio named Samantha Perez. So Samantha Perez is Daniela's mother and Alexander's mother. And you're going to hear about how Daniel and Nicole agreed to move to San Antonio so that Daniel could be closer to Samantha, so it would make sharing custody of their 2 kids easier. So they're going to get in the car and they're going to drive from Florida to San Antonio. And you're going to hear about them staying in a series of hotels here in San Antonio. And that's when Nicole's going to tell you Daniel began disciplining Dominic. He would strike him in the face and on his body with a closed fist. You're going to hear about how he would sometimes withhold food from Dominic. You're going to hear about how he would put Dominic in the corner or put him in the bathroom. They're going to stay at a series of 3 hotels. And the last hotel they stay at, police are able to find some surveillance footage. And you'll see this sort of Brady Bunch-like family go in and out of the hotel. You're going to notice one kid's different. Dominic's almost always wearing a mask over his face, even though most of the time none of the other family is. You'll see the video and you'll see them going in and out. You won't see any video of inside the hotel room. The only people who you're going to hear about from inside the hotel room are Nicole, and we hope you'll hear from Daniela. She was 4 years old at the time this happened, and now she's 7. You're going to hear that she initially didn't come forward with what she saw. You're also going to hear that she's recanted some of the things she said. This is Daniel's daughter, who we're talking about. And I don't know she's a 7-year-old kid. I don't know ultimately what she's going to say. But what I think she's probably going to say is that Daniel was the one who was doing the beating. And then in her mind, in her 7-year mind, in her 7-year-old eyes, she didn't see Nicole do anything wrong. well, she's not going to understand something like a legal duty and a legal omission that can get you in trouble as a parent. But we hope you'll hear from her. You won't hear from the two younger children because they're too young to be witnesses. And you won't hear from Dominic. He will not be here. And that's because sometime around the evening of the 24th of July 2001 into the early morning of the 25th of July 2001, Dominic takes his last walk down the stairs of that hotel. And soon after, you're going to see the defendant carry Dominic back upstairs. And you're going to hear how Dominic threw up out in the parking lot and how he was taken back upstairs. He was washed off in the shower. They looked at him. He was not conscious. He wasn't coming back to consciousness. You're going to hear about him being in the bathroom. And then sometime the next day, they're going to take Dominic's body and they're going to put it in their car and they're going to leave Texas and drive to Colorado, somewhere outside the Denver area in the Rocky Mountains, Berthoud Pass on US 40. And they're somewhere up on the mountain pass in a wooded area. They're going to take Dominic's body and push it down up the slope of the mountain into some bushes and trees. Because they know they can't take Dominic to medical care because it will be apparent what has been happening to him. And from there, Nicole and Daniel are going to get back in their car with Ivani. They've already dropped off Daniela and Alexander with their mother Samantha in San Antonio. And they're going to drive back to Texas and they're going to cross the border into Mexico. You'll hear that Daniel has a passport, but Nicole doesn't, so Nicole has to smuggle herself over the border. Daniel crosses legally. You're going to hear they go through Mexico, and then they get to Guatemala. Daniel has a passport, Daniel crosses, Nicole has to go through illegal means. And then Honduras, and finally they're going to get to Costa Rica. And you're going to hear Nicole Aguilar was born in Costa Rica. That's where her father still lives today. And they're going to show up in Costa Rica in Daniel's car with his Florida license plate, with Ivani. And when they get to the family in Costa Rica, something's missing. And they start asking questions. Where's Dominic? Where's Dominic? And they start asking a lot of questions. And Daniel starts getting nervous. And at that point, Daniel flees again. And Nicole, a lot of questions are being asked by the State Department down there and an FBI agent stationed down there in the embassy. And finally, Nicole, well, she doesn't come completely clean, but she does agree to fly to the United States and go to Denver with FBI agents and a San Antonio police detective. And she takes them up to the mountain pass, and there they find Dominic's body. Now, at this point, this is a month later, where they find the body. And the body is beginning to decay. It's partially mummified, partially skeletonized. There's a lot of fly larvae that it's found with. And the FBI evidence recovery team, they take Dominic's remains, they sandwich it between two boards to try to get it up what is a kind of a technical mountain slope to climb back up. It's got a 45-degree angle, I believe. And they're going to take his body and they're going to send it off to the FBI, an FBI forensic anthropologist, because a regular medical examiner or pathologist is unable to determine what the cause of death was due to the advanced state of decay. That's basically saying that a regular autopsy cannot be done on Dominic. But that's not to say that the body doesn't speak at all. Because what the forensic anthropologist does is she takes Dominic's bones and she organizes them out, removes the bits of decaying flesh, and she looks at his bones. And she's going to find several fractures. Now, she's not going to be able to tell you exactly when the fractures occurred, but she will say that they are in various stages of healing. So that means that they occurred days to weeks prior to death because they show signs that his body was trying to heal from the beatings he was taking. She will tell you that there was no evidence of what she will call perimortem fractures. Those are fractures inflicted at the time of death. The medical examiners will not be able to tell you exactly why Dominic died per their training. But once you've heard all the evidence, we believe it'll be clear. We have paragraph A and paragraph B. It's going to be one of two. Either he died because Daniel Garcia beat him hard to the point where his body could not take it anymore. And while he was beating him, and while Dominic was beginning to suffer, Daniel Garcia, who had assumed custody of control of Dominic, because he's living with him, he's disciplining him, he's making decisions about when he can and can't eat or he sleeps, that he had a legal obligation to get Dominic to medical treatment, and that he intentionally, knowingly failed to do that obligation, knowing that Dominic would suffer serious bodily injury because of it. And we will ask you to find that man guilty of first-degree injury to a child. Thank you.